Before we get started on programming, we're going to have a look at the layout of the MagicQ software. You can see my MagicQ PC software running here, and you'll notice at the very top left it says Demo Mode. The MagicQ software is free to install and use, and can output all 64 universes fully enabled without any restriction. However, you will find when you don't have any Cmsys hardware plugged into your system, it will say Demo Mode up on the top left corner. This doesn't restrict your programming. Programming is fully enabled, as are your outputs, but it does restrict a few advanced functions. This is things like remote control of the software or using our iOS and Android apps. To unlock the software from demo mode, you simply connect some blue hardware, so something like our dual DMX interface, or one of our Wing products, Mini Wing, PC Wing, or rack mount dongle. We also have a range of interfaces, our Magic DMXs, these interfaces here, which are our low-cost USB to DMX interfaces. There's a basic and a full interface. Both of these variants, full or basic, do not unlock the MagicQ software. They simply give you a DMX output. So you can still program and output your show, but they just don't remove that demo mode banner. So let's have a look at the layout of the software. So you can see my PC software here, and the layout is very similar to a console as well. So in the center, we've got what would be the screen on your console, and you can open various windows onto that screen. To open a window, you'd use your window buttons over on the top right corner over here. So that could be windows like Setup, Patch, Media, and so on. Clicking the window button opens that window onto your screen. Down by your keypad on the bottom right, just to the left, you have your palette windows. These are windows like Group, Position, Color, and Beam. Again, clicking on those windows will open that window onto your screen. Now you'll notice windows can open in different sizes and in different positions. So if I took something like my page window, it opens up full screen. You can resize windows by going to the View menu at the top of the window and selecting where you want to see that window. Bottom right. So first off, open the window and then set how you want to see it. If I want my playback window, View, bottom left. And when you open windows, it does open windows on top of each other. So I've just opened the playback window. To close a window, you can click the X in the corner, or there is a close button, again just to the left of the keypad. You can click close, closes that window, and you can now see the window underneath. We allow you to store layouts of windows as well, and you've got just to the left of the keypad 3 layout buttons, lay 1, 2 and 3, where you can store your own custom window layouts. So I could take, say, my page and my playback window, which I've resized, and I could store those to my layout 2 button. To store a layout, record, click on the layout 2 button. If it's already got a layout on it, we'll ask you if you want to overwrite it, and yes, and now that layout is stored, so I can change between some different window layouts. When you open a window, it will always open in its last used position. Now, if you're storing layouts, it's always good practice to close all open windows before you do so. You don't want to have a window like the patch window open and have maybe a palette window in front where you might accidentally change the color of the lights and then in your patch window, close that window and remove a fixture or something. All too easy to do. So if you go to your Shift button, hold Shift down and press close, we'll close all active open windows. So then you can go ahead and just open the windows you want in your layout, Group, Position, Color, Beam, Record, Layout 1 button, and that layout of windows is now stored. Now when we come round to windows, when I've got more than one window open on my screen, you can only have one active window. The other windows can still be used, so I can click in those windows, I can select a group, I can select a different position for my lights, I can select a different colour for them, and so on. But only one of them is active. When we mean a window is active, we mean that the soft buttons, this sort of upside down horseshoe shape of buttons around the screen, now relate to that window. They take the focus. And your encoders are always mapped directly next to the soft button. So if you want to see what the encoder is doing, just look on the side of the screen there. So you can see my encoder A has got cyan control for my fixtures. So as I wind that encoder, you can see it's adding cyan in to those fixtures. So your soft buttons take the function of the active window. So if I would like to have now position control on my encoders to move the lights around, I'd simply click in the position window to make it active. And you can see the toolbar at the top turns blue, the others are greyed out, they're not active at the moment. And now on my encoders, on the soft buttons, it tells me I've got pan and tilt on the X and Y encoder wheels, so I can move my fixtures around. You can also take the focus of a window and make it the active window by clicking the button that relates to it. So even though the window's open, it's sitting in the background, say my colour window, I could click the colour button, and that now makes that window my active window. The soft buttons along the top of the screen have various different functions, and again they'll change depending on the active window. Generally on the top left are different views of the window, so something like the colour window has got 2 pages of views. The same for the beam window, that's got 5 pages of views in there. And what that's doing is it's changing our encoder function. If we take beam parameters as an example, for some maybe moving light spot fixtures, they might have more than 8 attributes for beam. So you can see I've got 8 encoders, 4 each side of the screen. But if my fixture's got more than 8 beam controls, so we're going to be talking things like gobos, zoom, prism, framing shutters and so on here, I need more pages of encoders. So by clicking page 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you can see my encoder function is changing and showing me different functions as I change through the different pages. We do keep a default mapping for your encoder function. So if I took, say, a show-based spot and a row-based spot and a clay-packy spot, and I go to the beam window, I'd expect always to find gobo 1 on my X encoder on page 1. I'd expect always to find strobe on page 1 encoder A, for example. So you will find in some pages there's gaps where that particular fixture doesn't have that attribute. As you go along from the left to the right hand side from the left on these top soft buttons, generally we say the function gets more dangerous in the software. So if we take a palette window, like our beam window here, up on the top right here, would actually apply palettes and apply gobos to our lights. So it's actually going to change the output, a bit more dangerous. If we go to a window like our setup window, again, top left is different window views, view settings, system, DMX output view. Go across to the right hand side is your quit button, and that would shut down your console or close the MagicQ software on PC. So left to right, in various different windows, the function gets more dangerous in what it's doing. Let's have a look at some other things in the MagicQ software layout. At the bottom of the screen, and the same on a console as well, you'll find there's 2 rectangular command boxes. The left-hand one tells you the time and date and also your software version, but it also tells you other useful feedback, things like your playback page number. Your playbacks are pageable, and you've got 200 pages of playbacks. It will also show you things like incoming timecode or MIDI if you're sending those in for your show as well. The right-hand command box is your command box here, and it's showing you what you're doing in your programming. As you go through and start programming the console, it's a really useful box to look at to show you how you're programming and what MagicQ is expecting you to do next. Now, in terms of commands on the console, all of the commands can be found as physical keys on consoles or over on the right-hand side here, just above the keypad. On a console, these are marked your programmer keys. And these are functions like record, remove, copy, and so on there. And the general rule for MagicQ is always select the command before an action. So if you want to record something, record, and look in your command line. It tells you press record, and it's also giving you a hint as to what the software is expecting you to do next. It says select playback or window item. So I can click on a playback, and again gives me the feedback is recorded Q1 onto that playback. At the very bottom of the screen on a console or on the PC software here, you've got the legends for your 10 playbacks. All of your playbacks are electronically legended. You don't need to plaster your console in PVC tape. So you've got the legending for your playbacks there. You saw I just recorded a playback to playback 9. To set the name of it is the set command over here. Command, action, brings up a keyboard. And I can now label that cue stack here, or that playback, so I can see what it's doing. If it's a cue stack or a chase, it will show you the different steps here. So you can see this is a 4-step chase for my pars. So it tells me there's 4 steps and it shows me the cues there. And as I run through that chase, it will show me which cue I'm in as it steps through the different cues there. Below that, you've got your select button, your S key to select the playback. Each playback has a play button, a stop or a pause button, the physical fader for it, and below it, a flash button as well. Going to the left, you've got your page keys to step through your playback pages, next and previous page, and you've got 200 pages of playbacks to use. If we go over onto the right-hand side here, a few more keys to look at. Your keypad, which can be used for selecting fixtures, setting intensity, applying palettes, and so on. And we'll look at some more uses for the keypad as we go through the programming exercises. The final thing on the interface layout, or the software and hardware layout, is this section here called your head control section. In here you'll find buttons like next head, previous head. So this is useful if I'm, say, programming my fixtures. Let me bring these playbacks down. if I had my spot fixtures and I locate to bring them on, I can use that to step through, and as you can see in the viz, select one fixture individually for programming. Maybe I want to tweak its position like so. You'll also find other buttons there, odd and even, to allow me to select odds and even fixtures. So I could say all odd fixtures in one colour, evens in another colour. And then you've also got functions like fanning as well over here. So I could tilt those even fixtures and then I could fan them and spread them out like so. And we'll cover some more of these programming and head control section keys later on as well. So let's get started and have a look at you starting your own show and patching the console.